It is old school. I understand that. But even for a millennial, I believe everyone would take pause if they received a personal note in the mail. That is going to set you apart from everyone else. I truly believe that.
Welcome to the My Future Business Show, where we get you in front of your best audience and keep you there. Not only are we interviewing the biggest names in business to help you become even more successful, we're inviting you to book your spot on the show to help you grow your business. So at the end of the call, make sure you fill in the interview application form at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews. Hi and welcome to the My Future Business Show. My name's Rick Nusky, and you know what? I have a big smile on my face because I have on the line with me James Drury. Now, James and we're going to be talking about exactly that, talking with people and meeting up with new people to expand your business opportunities. Welcome to the show, James. How are you?
Good to be here, Rick.
Look, it's
good to be here.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show with us now. Your background is about expanding opportunities through building strong relationships. Tell us a little bit about how this all comes about for you.
The short story is it took me many years to figure out why I had the ability to talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
A dear friend who has passed said to me on a flight one time, he goes, "Hey, James, we've known each other a long time." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You talk to anyone?" I said, "No, Brian, I talk to everyone." And over the years, I have met people, and these people have given me business ideas.
Mm-hmm.
I started a business based on a phone call that I made. I live in Illinois.
Just one phone call.
One phone call.
Mm-hmm.
To a state agency here in Illinois. And my question to her was, I said, I was teaching continuing education for real estate here in Illinois, but I'm also a professional auctioneer. And in Illinois and other states here, we have to take continuing education every 2 years to renew our license. So I talked to this lady that I had spoken with a couple of times, and I said, "Do I need a license to teach continuing education for auctioneers?" I said, "I'm an auctioneer." She goes, "Well, no, you have to show competency." And you know, Rick, you don't respond, at least I was always taught, you don't respond to a question with a question, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Well, you're going to have to give me your parameters of, competency."
What does that mean?
She said, "Well, yeah, what does it mean?" I didn't know. She said, "Well, how about formal education?" And I told her, I said, "I've taught at a college level and this and that, been an auctioneer for like 18 years at that point or so." And I said, she said, "Oh, you're qualified." Then she said, "Well, why don't you start your own school?" And I said, "Well, that wasn't why I called, but since you've opened that door," I said, "if I did," I said, "it would have to be all online."
Right.
And she said, "Well, that's what I'm talking about." She said, "No one's doing that." I said, "Really?" I said, "I'll tell you what, I'll call you back in 30 days. I called her back in 30 days and I said, "Look, I have all the forms filled out, checks made out to obtain the license."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "I have a demo video up online. I have written 4 classes." I said, "What do I do? Put this in a FedEx box and ship it down?" She was astonished. She said, "Could you make a presentation to the board?" I said, "Sure." So I went down, made a presentation, and the president of the board said, "So let me understand this, James. I can watch and take my continuing education every 2 years from the comfort of my living room or den with my computer." I said, "That's right. You don't have to drive anywhere anymore." He goes, "Approved." And so they started to move on to the next item on their agenda. And I said, "But sir, there's just one more thing." And he said, "Yes, James, what is that?" I said, "Well, here in Illinois, we have to take a proctored exam, which means we have to have someone who has some type of good credential, a librarian. I had a rabbi in New York proctor an exam for me for auctioneer in New York City.
Okay.
He tried to convert me. We had a great conversation.
I bet.
He was a great guy. He's a great guy. And I said, so we have to take this proctored exam. I said, I have a service. It's called Proctor U. I'll just tell you who it is, Proctor U. I said, and they have an online service. And he said, well, how does it work? And I explained it. And there was one gentleman on the board who wasn't too happy with me, Rick, because I was taking money out of his pocket. Yeah, and I said, well, sir, I said, the University of Illinois at Champaign is utilizing the same system, and I'm not going to argue with them. And he looked at the other board members, and hammer came down, approved. Rick, I was the first company to have online proctor testing in the state of Illinois.
Wow, bit of a pioneer.
Yeah, and so that was like 6-7 years ago, and we're still rocking and rolling. I'm in more states now, and some states are easier to work with, but the states I work with, all nice people, and their auctioneers like the fact that a lot of auctioneers in the states here we travel about. Especially people who are doing automobile auctions.
Yeah.
They travel all over the country. They'll burn out a car in 12 months. They drive so much.
Wow.
And so it's just easier for them. I set it up so they can watch the videos on their smartphone if they have a good internet connection while they're driving. At least they can hear me.
Yeah.
And that was the first one. Now you want to hear about the second one?
Absolutely.
Because this one threw me a little over a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Received a phone call from a client, and he said to me, he goes, hey, James, that class you wrote, and you had the video, the class on marketing to millennials. And keep in mind, Rick, most auctioneers are over the age of 40.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah. He goes, well, I was at a conference, and there was a fellow talking about millennials. He said, I learned more from you than I did from him, but I know that he probably made a whole lot more money than you. Well, Rick, that got my attention.
I bet it did.
And I've always been a true believer that things happen for a reason.
Yep.
And there's a magical hand that just kind of guides you. About a month later, I received this email from this fellow who does a vlog out of New York City, and I followed him. I read about him in Forbes magazine, maybe now 6 years ago, and I subscribe. And a vlog comes on every once in a while. Sometimes I read them, sometimes I don't. And this one I opened a little over a year ago, and there was this woman in Toronto who had an online program to start a public speaking business. So I sent her a video. One thing led to another. I hired her as a mentor to start my public speaking business based on a couple of things. One, you can never know enough people because you just never know where your next idea is going to come from. Mm-hmm. And then that is followed up into a new program I'm talking to people about, and that's about people over 50 who have started a business. And so I tie it in by saying, look, you have to talk to everyone. You have to listen. You have to really understand and hear what people say. People give me ideas all the time. I mean, I've discarded more than I've started.
Yeah, absolutely.
and I've called people and said, hey, this is a great idea. Why don't you jump on this? Well, Rick, not everyone is willing to take the risk. Yeah. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. That's
what it comes down to. But I'm finding that people over 50 are interested in what I have to say about starting a business, how to find a business that you might want to look at. And I give them all the pointers and tips that I've picked up over the years. I purchased my first business when I was 37. And all the mistakes that I made, I tell them, don't do this.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Trust
Please,
me. Trust me.
Yeah, trust me. I said, I told one fellow, I said, if you start this, I said, I'm going to go get my Nerf bat. You know what a Nerf bat is? Then he goes, well, what are you going to do with the Nerf bat? I said, I'm going to find you. I'm going to hit you with it. He goes, you're going to hit me with it? I said, I'm not going to hurt you. I want to get your attention. Don't do that. So, yeah, I am, and what I'm finding is that people over 50, they see retirement coming up in their windscreen, and they want to either increase their income. And I talk to them about, yeah, income is absolutely good, but when I started in business, I was more looking to increase my net worth.
Yeah.
Because if I could increase my net worth, the money's going to take care of itself. So that's how I looked at it.
Are you talking about the value exchange there?
Yes,
Right.
Absolutely. Here's the example, Rick. Here's the example. I purchased a laundromat. I was a regional sales manager for a biotech company. Rick, I was selling things that I always joke and say they had 35 letters and one vowel. There was no way. There was no way I could pronounce it. But they were monoclonal antibodies that were used in research.
Right.
And I bought a laundromat, and people thought I was out of my mind. They said, "Jim, you have hours towards a PhD. What are you going to mess with a laundromat for?" And I said to him, well, a couple of things. I said, one, I think I have the brain power to learn how to fix a dryer or a washer. It's not that hard. I said, when I see immigrants coming to this country and buying a laundromat and doing this, I said, why, hell, I can do that too. And the other thing was the owners of these types of businesses would sell them on contract. So I purchased the business, and they carried the paper for 5 years at a reasonable interest rate. The business generated enough money to pay off the debt every month. And I also had my other kind of precept, if you will, one of my personal commandments on a brick and mortar business. If you can't buy the brick and mortar, don't buy it. Because, you have a successful business, the landlord could raise the money, or life could change for you and you don't want the business anymore, then sell the business to someone, but you're still the landlord and own the property.
Yeah.
Some people don't understand that, Rick.
Yeah.
So, oh, geez. Yeah, give me the Nerf bat again. So what happened, Rick, is that I understood, I set these things up, I set this one up, so it was 60 months. And so every month, I remember I'd write a check for like $2,500. Okay. How much did I make in that month? If I made an extra $100 a week, that was okay, because in my mind, I actually made $2,800. So every month, my debt went down, my net worth went up, and in 60 months, I owned it free and clear. I'm going, where else can I possibly build up my net worth this fast? And then at the end of 60 months, have a decent cash flow.
Yeah.
And that was my goal. I looked at, and I kept my job as for many years as a regional sales manager in the biotech company. And but it just got to the point that after I purchased the second laundromat and had an apartment building, I couldn't fly around the country anymore because I was killing myself.
Bit of burnout going on.
Oh, yeah. It was a major burnout. And because I purchased a second laundromat about 6 months later. And so from there, I wound up keeping the second one for almost 20 years.
That's amazing. Excuse me. I'd just love to. There's so much we could talk about here. There's so much going on and so much that you're involved with, and I'd just love to start talking a little bit about this idea, this concept of failure. Can you tell us your views on failure? What does it mean to you?
Well, I've succeeded in business on my own, and I have failed in a spectacular fashion. I started believing my own press.
Yeah.
Here's how I look at failure. Because I was asked that question at the beginning of when I purchased that laundromat. I was asked about it with this business I just started a year ago. I said, look, the way I'm approaching this is Yes, I've had to take out some loans.
Hmm.
Let's say the business fails. I said they can take whoever they are,
Yeah.
people holding the notes. We'll just say it's the people holding the notes.
Yep.
They can take back the business. They can take the car. They can take everything. But here's what they can't take. I'm real big on education, formal education.
Yeah.
Can't take my education away from me. They can't take those degrees back. They cannot take the knowledge I learned in those businesses that didn't work away from me.
Hmm.
And I said, if I lose it all, give me 24 months, 36, I'll be back bigger than ever in 36 months. And I've seen entrepreneurs do that on a grander scale than me. I'm just, I'm penny ante. But I've seen situations where people, multi-million-dollar businesses, they've lost everything. But they know a lot of people, and a lot of people trust them and believe in their story, believe in how hardworking they are, and they fund them, and then they're successful second time around. And I've seen it, and I'm going, that's how I approach failure. It's not a failure. I don't look at it that way.
Right.
The business that failed, Rick, I put in $250,000.
Yeah.
I'd sure like to have that $250,000 today.
Of course. Of course. So for everyone who's listening to the show, it's essentially saying that, your experiences, be they good, bad, or indifferent, are learning curves, aren't they?
Yeah, it is a learning curve, and I'm learning every day. I read every day. I read a lot of, people ask me, what do I do all day besides my business? I said, I read a lot. And business articles about this and that, and things that perhaps don't even apply. But I try to absorb as much information as I can, because I just never know where that next idea or that next twist on what I'm trying to accomplish may come from. You just don't know. You just don't know.
Yeah, it's been an amazing call so far. Thank you so much for sharing everything that you're sharing with us today. I'd love to talk a little bit about the more subtle things that you would do when you are interacting with people. You talk about here tactical tips such as handshakes and things. How does the way that you physically interact with somebody make a difference in your business?
I have, in my mind, when I meet a client, I have in my world, about 3 seconds to convey trust, interest, and sincerity to that person. I learned at an early age how to shake hands with people. I was probably about 5 to 7, somewhere in there, from my grandfather. And he told me to look people in the eye, and he always said to me, don't use slang, like, how you doing? No, he always said, use the King's English, if you will. That's what he always said to me. He said, just say, it's very nice to meet you. How are you today? And it just stuck with me. And that's how I've always talked to people. I've been in sales and marketing all my life. And when I meet someone, I always think of what my grandfather taught me, that you speak clearly and properly and distinctly, and you don't sound like I'm going to say a schlub. It's that moment for you to shine. I mean, you can be in a $5,000 Baroni Italian suit, but if you sound like a schlub, you have no credibility.
It's a different experience for them, isn't it?
Yes, and I enjoy just going out and shaking hands and meeting people. It's just a pleasure. I could give you stories. We could go on, and you'd be over your tea and would be into the scotch pretty soon.
That's fine by me.
Macallan 12, okay?
Okay, done deal.
I was in Detroit last weekend at a conference, and I met this fellow. I was sitting at the bar finishing dinner. I ate at the bar. The restaurant was packed, so I ate at the bar, had a glass of wine, and this fellow sits down. He goes, how you doing today? And I said to myself, Okay, how you doing? That's good. Okay. I said, sir, I'm doing fine. How about yourself? I'm doing fine. We shake hands. He's a good guy. And he just started chatting, and come to find out he was a Marine in Iraq. And he has about 3 businesses that he has now. He's out. And his size is was kind of imposing.
Yep.
Kind of imposing. I mean, the guy carries himself in a very professional military posture, if you will.
Yeah.
And it's almost intimidating. You know, he's like 6'3" and I'm 5'8". and I'm not growing anymore. But by the time his meal came and it was time for me to leave, we exchanged business cards and we had a couple of laughs. And he said, link in with me on LinkedIn. I said, I will do that. I will absolutely do that. And that happens to me more often than not.
Yeah.
I was in Toronto this spring with my mentor, and I was going back up to the room to get my my briefcase, and I was in a coat and tie, and so I'm at the ground floor of the hotel, and this woman has a pull cart. She's just checking in, and I said, it was like 8 o'clock in the morning. I said, you're just checking in now? She goes, oh no, this and this and this. And I said, okay. She goes, well, you look very nice today. I said, well, thank you. I said, I'm making a presentation here in Toronto. And she goes, on what? I said, well, I call it, you can never know enough people. She goes, really? We get in the elevator. I ride up. Her office was at the top floor of this hotel office building. She was director of an entrepreneurs association.
Oh, well, there you go.
And I said, oh, this is too funny. This is too funny. We exchanged cards and we're linked in. And yeah, it's just, I don't know, people seem to be able to want to talk to me, they want to speak to me, they want to say this, or people always ask me, how do you find this out? I said, people just call me and tell me things. I don't ask.
Well, the proof is in the pudding. If you're listening to the show today, James is sharing some amazing stories, and I think that's an important thing for us to talk about. There are so many elements to the psychology of relationships and the psychology of sales. I wonder, when you talk to people, are you actively thinking about telling stories, or is it just you just sharing who you are naturally with them?
A little of both, Rick. Over the years, and I can't remember when I started it or why I started this. For people that I want to continue to at least stay in touch with or make an impression upon, I send them a thank you note. I have 3 different note cards here in my office, and one has my initial Drury, D, and I will handwrite a little note. It was very nice to meet you. I had a wonderful time talking to you about X, and here's my business card, and if there's anything that I could possibly do for you, please don't hesitate. Reach out and call me. And I'll drop it in the mail to them. And the response that I've received is no one sends me a little note like that. It's pretty professional.
It's pretty powerful, isn't it?
And it is very powerful. In fact, when I talk to groups, there might be some millennials in the audience. So I'll pull out the card from the inside of my coat jacket, and I'll say, open it up. I say, you take out your pen and you write in cursive. Does everyone know what cursive is?
That's a lost art.
It is, Rick. And only a few people raise their hands sometimes. But anyway, I'll say, just, dear Rick, it's great chatting with you about X. Looking forward to following up with you about X at your earliest convenience, James Drury. Put my business card in, drop it in the mail. And then I say, for those of you who don't understand that you have to put a stamp on the envelope, Who has purchased a stamp in the past 30 days? Oh, Rick, it's like a graveyard at midnight. There's no one that reaches their hand.
Very quiet across the room.
Oh gosh. So I said, now if you go to my webpage, there's an e-card, and for free you can send an e-card from my webpage to whomever. And then I said, see, who wants that address? And I tell them, you can see people writing it down. And it's just, for me, it's hilarious because it is old school. I understand that. But even for millennial, I believe everyone would take pause if they received a personal note in the mail. That is going to set you apart from everyone else.
No, I think
I truly believe that, Rick.
I think there is a definite place for, the offline environment meeting the online environment and melding the two together in a smart way. Is that something that you actively focus on teaching others?
I do. I spend a lot of time talking about a thank you card and following up. There is a lot of noise out there. Let's face it. Everyone gets bombarded with text messages and emails and Instagrams and, Snapchats and this and that. Hold on. Let's just take a quick breath and open up the envelope and look at that note for someone that you talked to who took some time. Even the most hardened person would have to take pause. That someone took the time to drop them a little note. I believe that.
It's funny, I only yesterday or maybe the day before now, about a week ago, I needed some work done around the house by a tradesman, and this particular tradesman, only yesterday, I wasn't expecting anything from them. Then in the mail, in the post, I actually received an envelope, and it was exactly that. It was a thank you card. I was gobsmacked. I was shocked to receive it. It is very, very powerful.
Oh gosh, and I can think of tradesmen. You're talking about tradesmen that I've had come to the home here, and I don't remember ever receiving a little thank you. Hey, thank you for your business.
That's what it was. It was a thank you for your business.
Yeah, just thank you for your business. When you're in business for yourself, you just want to be nice to everyone.
There's some very powerful takeaways for everybody who's listening to this call today. And James, I'm pretty positive we could go on and on and on. We could, fold back the layers of this. This is such a fun call for me. It's wonderful. Now, if people want to work with you, find out more about you, where would they go?
Just go to my webpage. It's jamesdruryspeaks.com, and there's an 888 toll-free number. You can call me, and I've answered the phone throughout Ireland, Scotland, Belfast, France. Wherever I go, my phone rings, and I'll be more than happy to sit down and chat with someone or give them some advice. It's not a problem. Glad to help out wherever I can.
That's fantastic. And for everybody who's listening to the call today, I will make that URL available. James, it's been an absolute treat having you on the show with me today.
Rick, it's been great chatting with you, and I'd like to follow up at some time at your convenience, and we can continue this conversation with McAllen 12.
It's been fun having you on the call with us today, so make sure to subscribe, leave us a comment, share us with your friends, and book your spot on the show. And if you're looking to create your own professional audio or video presentations, then for more details, visit myfuturebusiness.com/shop.